Once in a while, Nollywood decides to bless us with something really extraordinary. This time around, the woman who gave us Wedding Party, King of Boys, has given us an arguably even better production. This woman is Adetiba, and her latest production is To Kill a Monkey, showing on Netflix. This production is a limited series with 8 episodes featuring Bucci Franklin, Benson, Chidi Mokeme, Stella Damasus, Sunshine Rosman, Bimbo Akintola, Ireti Doyle, Lilian Afegbai, and of course others. The series tells the story of Efe, who is trailed by terrible luck. Efe graduated with the first class, but he was struggling with no hope inside. He suffered humiliation, pains, and unhappiness until a chance meeting with an old acquaintance, Oboz, who then introduced him into the world of cybercrime. Efe makes money eventually, plenty of it actually, but he compromised his values and lost everything in the end. Now, there are so many awesome things about this series, starting with number 1. The casting was absolutely spot on. I think that along with the story, casting is the most important aspect of movie production. I mean, no matter their level of versatility, if you were to swap Bucci and cast him as Efe, and then cast Benson as Oboz, you would not have a production this good. So credit to the director, because every character was cast spot on perfectly. Number 2, the acting was impeccable and the characterization as well was spot on. In acting, I want to specifically mention Bucci Franklin, who acted as Oboz, Benson, who acted as Efe, and Lilian, who acted as Idea. I don't think any major character acted poorly, but you see these 3 persons I listed, then finish work. Bucci in particular is reportedly from Imo State, the southeast, yeah? He grew up in Port Harcourt, and in an interview on TVC a few months ago talking about the movie, he said the longest he ever spent in Benin was 24 hours. Before the movie was produced, the longest he ever spent in Benin was 24 hours. Yet, he took up the role of a Bini Yahoo boy and played the part to perfection. I mean, speaking Bini Pidgin like a proper Bini boy. He said he took time to study Bini Pidgin comedians on our social media platforms and doing a lot of research. For me, this is highly impressive because it's not common for Nollywood producers and actors to go through so much stress just for the sake of production. In characterization, it was important that Efe had some flaws because contrary to some characterization we see in Nollywood, there is no such thing as a perfect hero. So, unless of course you're a Christian telling the story of Jesus Christ. It was also important that Oboz, for all his noise, his misbehavior, philandering, had some desirable qualities. For example, he loved Efe so much that he was willing to protect him with his own life. A man who had a wife, who had a family at home, willing to throw his life on the line to protect a man he called his brother. You see that scene where Oboz was trying to shield Efe from the shooters? It nearly brought me to tears. I mean, brotherly, they behind me, I go protect you, no worry. And then the look of betrayal on his face when he realized that Efe had betrayed him, that he was the one working with the shooters. Now, the shock made him drop his juju, which might have saved him from the shooters. At least he believed so. That part will make many people cry. It was wonderful writing, complemented by wonderful acting. Number 3, I like the arguments that the series has thrown up. While some persons were blasting Efe for betraying Oboz, there were some people quick to raise the fact that it was Oboz who had started the betrayal by sleeping with Efe's daughter for 2 years and then getting her pregnant. Another argument will be if the act, of course, justified killing Efe immediately the chance presented itself. And this is what a good production does. It sparks constructive debates. There is also the debate about Efe teaming up with Oboz to take down the teacher rather than killing Oboz for the teacher. But it must be noted that Amanda, who was planted by the teacher, had a huge influence on every decision taken by Efe. Efe had fallen for her, she didn't like Oboz. So she was in Efe's ear all the time, telling him how wonderful an idea it would be to eliminate Oboz and make up with the teacher. Number 3, there are so many talking points in this production that motivational speakers are going to be using for the next couple of days or weeks or months because, I mean, why not? For example, crime hardly solves problems because once the money starts to come, the human greed kicks in and there is no stopping. It was the case with Efe. He had made so much money, enough to stop and focus on his many other businesses, but he didn't. There is also the hypocrisy of the teacher who was mad that Oboz killed his grandchild, but it was he who had first of all tried to kill Efe's child. If Efe had taken an hour longer to find his daughter, she would have frozen to death in the fridge. Elsewhere, there is the story of Mo's resilience after the death of her husband and children in a car accident. superintendent. She returned to work despite the challenges and the demotion that she faced. She persisted with the job even after it seemed the whole world was against her. And then, of course, in the end, she triumphed. But you see, this series, although fantastic, has some lapses in my opinion still. To start with, the NCC aspect of the production looked a bit poor to me. I mean, the people working with Mo, for example, were too robotic. Except for when Inspector Onome was talking with Mo, or a senior officer came to call Mo for something, every other staff member was minding their business, staring robotically into their computers, always like some zombies or some robots. It was strange enough that nobody was talking to Mo, apart from Onome and the few times that some officers came to call Mo. The staff there were not talking to Mo. Even the times when she reacted to see the cockroach in her drawer or knocking down a cup of tea on her table, nobody as much as said anything. They turned, looked at her, and continued what they were doing like some robots. Why weren't the staff members even having conversations with one another right there in the open office? Because I haven't seen an office with so many people working in the open office, but the only time they communicated was when 3 or 2 people were in the toilet. It didn't make sense. It wasn't natural at all. Secondly, Mo and Inspector Onome worked for NCCC, a Financial Crimes Commission, just like EFCC in Nigeria, right? But when Mo caught Onome red-handed taking bribes from Efe on the plane, he told him that people like him were giving the police a bad name. Did she forget the organization that she and Onome were working for? And also, even the frequent use of superintendent when answering their boss sounded a bit too odd. I mean, what happened to answering ma sometimes? Yes, ma. Sure, ma. Okay, ma. Not every time, yes, superintendent. Okay, superintendent. I have never seen such. Thirdly, for someone apparently so good at financial crimes investigation that she was promoted ahead of the eventual superintendent, I really didn't see anything spectacular done by Mo. To start with, she bungled all the attempts at nailing Efe and did some remarkably stupid things like forging her boss's signature when she could have signed the document with any name, since the suspect, Sani Bello, didn't have a lawyer and likely didn't know anything about NCCC's leadership. Probably wouldn't tell who was the head or whose signature was which. That Efe was caught in the end was 100% because Amanda exposed him. Left to Mo's efforts alone, if he would have walked free, would have fled. Fourthly, it was surprising a bit that when faced with a powerful gangster threatening to wipe off his family and the same gangster ordering him to kill his partner, if he did not for once think of fleeing the country with his family. Yes, I get that he could have been too greedy to leave the country, but he should have thought of it as an option long before his last encounter with the teacher that made him want to leave. He should have also thought of even relocating the family abroad and he alone staying back in the country. I mean, it would have probably been a better opportunity for him to live with his mistress and get the family safe away from him. That thought never came up for once. The idea for him to run away happened only towards the end, when I thought probably it was too late. The idea should have occurred to him earlier, even if he doesn't end up taking it, should have considered it or thought about it. Again, episode 3 was titled 4 Years Later, and that's 4 years after Efe had joined the Oboz, 4 years after Efe had moved on from being poor, 4 years after his wife had given birth, right? Great. But during the investigation at Olive Hospital, Mo and the doctor kept mentioning 3 years, but it was actually 4 years. So some little mistakes in details. Finally, you see, I love this series so much. So despite the issues I've pointed out, this series for me is still a solid 9 over 10. I was tempted to say 8.5 over 10, but to have 8 episodes of this series and each episode was solid. The acting, the quality of the production, the casting. I'm sorry, I can't give anything less than a 9. A 9 over 10 for me. A solid 9 over 10. So kudos to me, Adetiba, and everybody on this production. Have you seen the movie? Let me know what you think about my review of the movie and what you think about the movie itself. If you haven't, don't sleep on this. See the movie. And in the meantime, please like this video, share it, and subscribe if you haven't, so you get to watch more videos when I post them.